Hello and welcome back to the X-Files Revisited. We are on to episode 9 of season 6. It feels like we're starting to get through the season really quite quickly now, sometimes. So
Yeah.
SR819, Brian.
Yeah.
We're back to mythology.
Yeah, finally. Since the beginning, this is the
Yes.
first mythology episode that we've had, really.
Mhm.
But yeah, is it a good one? That's the question. Where do you
Well,
think?
here's a question
Go on.
for you, Brian.
All right, go on.
Does it matter if it's a good one? Are we so starved at this point from not having a mythology episode that we're just grateful for any crumbs that we're getting?
Well, I kind of alluded to that. Just first off, quick apology to anyone listening to my gravelly voice at the minute. I've been a bit under the weather, so I may not sound quite right. But yeah,
Yeah.
I did allude, I think, last episode to the fact that back in the day I liked this one, and then like as we've been going through them for this podcast, I suspected that perhaps my liking of it could have been due to the fact that, as you say, we'd been so starved of mythology episodes, and being a fan of mythology episodes in general, that might have played into it. Now, we'll get into whether I think that did by the end of this or not, but that was a factor. Not a factor for you, I would imagine, because you've never really been the mythology guy. You're more the standalone.
Yes, but at the same time, like I did find myself missing it.
Right.
It felt
Okay.
like because you do have the mythology is like a thread all the way through the series. It ties everything together, the grander story. And this season, I'd say more than any other season, has felt more like vignettes, where
Yeah.
we're jumping into a little tale that doesn't matter. Sometimes you jump into a tale, and by the end of it, everything's magically returned to the way it was. Like it was a two-parter again, Brian.
Dreamland. Yeah.
Yeah, where
Dreamland.
everything's just magically fixed. It feels as if there's no weight to anything. So I really wanted a mythology episode at this point. Like I needed it to go back to basically the roots of the X-Files, which I feel this season has really moved away from.
Yeah. It keeps the show anchored, doesn't it?
And like
It's
myself,
like,
love it or hate it, it does do the job, and it's more apparent this season because we haven't had one of anchoring the series, like you say, giving it roots.
yeah. As for this particular episode, SR819, where do you think it sits on the IMDb ranking?
I think it's going to be middle of the road X-Files. Let's say, let's go under 100. 97.
97, eh? Not quite. It's 110.
110. Oh, close.
So it's fairly smack bang in the middle.
Yeah.
It's
Okay, let's get into it.
217. Let's do it. Okay. So we open up in a hospital, and there is a trauma victim that's been brought in, and we get this battle exposition between these two doctors who are talking to each other, and these two people feel like they've just watched an episode of ER, and they're going to try and talk like they do on ER. It's like, what's wrong with him? And the woman's like, really, what's wrong with him is he's going to die. It's like super dramatic kind of thing. And then it cuts to Skinner. We see that, it's Skinner. Skinner's going to die. And he starts whispering something to the female doctor. She says it's a name. He's whispering a name. And then he flatlines. And the doctors are all about to go to work on him, but then the main one, the super dramatic one's like, no, let him go. And it's just, and then we cut to opening credits.
It's so like tropey, like it really is. It's like doctors never stand still and talk, do they? Like they're just so busy. They're always just moving in the most dramatic of terms. And then that one's just completely thrown away her career and her Hippocratic oath by just going like, no, this one can die. Like, we're not even going to attempt it. You see the cover getting the sheet getting pulled over him, and you're like, he's not dead.
Yeah,
Like,
there's no way. There's no way they're taking him out in a standalone episode that's just like come out of nowhere. It's like I know we've had all this comedy episode malarkey for the. But they're not just going to come back swinging by killing off the main character.
Yeah.
It's like hell no. But yeah,
and almost for a minute, you're like, is Zombie Skinner going to jump up and do like show tunes about his life? Like, because that's what it feels like the season's been so far. It's going to be bonkers.
Yeah, like maybe it is going to be a comedy episode, but it's just the delivery of that line. What's wrong with him is he's going to die. We come back from the opening credits and we have a boxing match. And we've got this, voiceover from like Skinner. And it's like, is this going to be like a American Beauty kind of thing where the main character who's died is going to tell you how he came to his death? And so the boxing match with Skinner, and Skinner's owning this guy. It wants us to see that slugger, which is another thing that cracked me up because this guy just feels like a Rocky reject.
It's like he's out of like the 50s as well. On slugger, you can do it. He's like from New York.
Down, you bum. You gotta put him down. It's like Burgess Meredith kind of like.
It's so good.
Light.
And it sticks out because there's no other character like that.
I could not take this guy seriously at all. It just feels like he's budget Burgess Meredith. He wants to show us that Skinner's like clearly a champ in the ring. He's like because he's owning this guy. Until that is, he starts getting dizzy. His vision goes all blurry, and that's when this guy just like puts him on his ass, and then his trainer comes in. He's like, slugger. He will.
Come on, you bum.
Get up, you bum. Oh, classic stuff. Anyway, Skinner wakes up in the hospital. There's a lot of Skinner waking up in hospital in this episode.
It really is, yeah.
And there's a phone call of impending doom. But so basically, it's the ring. His phone goes, his phone calls, and you've got 8 days. 8 days. 8 days. Yeah. So it's a dodgy, but it's like how many different movies can we cover in this one episode? So he gets this voice, this dodgy voice, like scream like voice, telling him that he's got however many hours left to live.
24 hours to live.
24 hours to live. Because it's in him. It's already in him. He's already a dead man. And then
but I love this, doctor... you get this like automated phone call where it's just like, you're gonna die horribly. Blood will seep from your, and then this doctor comes in and he's like, hey, you get the all clear. His name Dr. That's the doctor.
Oh, was that what his name was? Oh man, come on. That's so on the nose. Because I'm looking at this guy and as it turns out, he's actually a genuinely decent doctor. But from the moment he's examining Skinner, I'm like, he's one of the bad guys. I'm like, we've seen this so many times before in the X-Files. That doctor is not kosher. He's working for the syndicate. They're doing tests on Skinner, and he's clearly the plant. So the fact that his name is Dr. Plant just like spells it out for you, even though there's nothing. It's a red herring, basically. Yeah, it's an absolute red herring. But the doctor says like that you're perfectly fine except for the bruise. Just keep get some ice on that. And Skinner's like, what bruise? What bruise? He's like, and he has this really nasty bruise on his side. It's like, oh, blimey, all right. Skinner goes to the office and he passes by the computer room where Mulder, I can only assume, is using FBI equipment to look at internet porn.
Probably, yeah.
He ain't working, but it's late night anyway. Mulder's working well beyond his hours, and he sees Skinner. He goes to say hey. Skinner's kind of flat out on his office couch. Said that he's not feeling so good, so he didn't want to bother making the trip home. He's just gonna like sleep on the office couch kind of thing. And Mulder kind of suddenly gets like super protective. It's time to protect Dad, kind of thing. So he calls Scully. Scully arrives, checks him over, and she's like, "Yeah, I don't know what this doctor was smoking, but there's no way he should have been discharged because it's not kosher." So they fill Scully in on what on the phone call Skinner got and all that, and he doesn't want all the fuss, but Mulder suggests it's about the X-Files. He's like, you've protected us for so long, and they're coming after you, and it's like, and Skinner's kind of rolling his eyes. It's like, oh, Mulder, you have to make everything about you, don't you?
You got to love Mulder. He's just like, you're at death's door. This is all about me. But can I just say, the whole questioning sequence that comes next with this has some of the best visuals, I think, for that reminiscence of his past day. When Mulder's like, tell me, how did you get from here to here, and how did you get from there to there? And it's the flashback to the memories. I thought this was a great visual styling for this. Really struck out.
Okay, go on then. Tell me why. So.
I just, the way it kind of, it keeps repeating sequences, like him coming out the lift, it's going back to it. It's got this like panning going on where it's like as if he's almost fast forwarding or rewinding through his thoughts. And Mulder just keeps like probing him. And to start with, Skinner is kind of like, look, I know what you're doing. Let's just stop. And then he gets kind of drawn into it a little bit, and he starts thinking. And you can see it between his machinations on the couch, to the memories, to the way they skip back and forward. I thought it was like great.
Yeah, it's like normally in a show you'd have the one flashback, and they'd have everything
black and white
in the memory when whereas here it shows how fragile the memory is. How like if you don't dig deep enough, you don't remember every aspect, and then if you do dig too deep, there's that question of, oh, hang on, have I filled in a blank there that perhaps didn't actually happen? So it throws up Skinner's memories, but it, in a way, kind of makes them unreliable. It's like, this could have happened, then again, it may not, or then again, there may be something else that still he's left out that he's not remembered.
But it shows you the memories, like when he's talking, he's like, well, I went from the elevator to the office, and then Mulder's like, go back. What happened when you left the elevator? Like, because you take that moment of time as nothing, and you don't analyze it, and it's just that little prodding. I thought this was probably my favorite sequence in the entire episode. I just, for some reason, I just loved it.
Right, cool. Okay, so basically, he remembers that somebody grabbed his wrists, asked him for directions at the time or something. And so they go and check out the surveillance footage, and this man turns out to be a physicist by the name of Kenneth Orgel, and Scully recognizes him on the security footage. And Skinner goes all action man. He's like, he gets up and he's like, right, I'm gonna kick his ass. It's like basically something along those lines. He's all up for going around and questioning this guy, and Mulder's like, what if he doesn't talk? He's like, then I'll kick his ass. It's like, okay, you go, action man. So Skinner and Mulder go to see Orgel. Now, I liked this particular scene just because I felt like, are we going to get an episode where Mulder and Skinner are like partnered up and they're doing... It felt like, it's going to be like they're going to be together on a quest, so to speak, kind of. But no, it's just this one scene, really. But it kind of got me excited for a moment there. But So they go to Argel's. They knock on the door. Argel like answers and is really kind of, yes, no,
Sketchy.
I don't remember you. Goodbye. And it's just like, so Mulder's go around the back, Skinner, because he senses, hang on, something's clearly not kosher here. So he sends Skinner around the back, and then he goes down the front, and that's when we find that there's two other guys in there with Argel who open fire, run out the back. Skinner goes all dizzy, and
he gets whacked in the back of the head.
Oh yeah, he gets whacked in the back of the head, which makes him all dizzy. And then Mulder manages to bring down one of the assailants, and it's not even a cripple.
Nope. This guy has all the limbs.
Armed.
Yeah, he's got all the limbs.
He's got all the limbs. He's weaponized, and Mulder takes him down, which is a real surprise. Biggest surprise of the episode.
It's almost like a role reversal, like Skinner gets slapped unconscious, and then Mulder catches somebody.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It feels like they're making a concerted effort this season to make Mulder a little bit tougher. I'm not buying it. Nope. I'm not buying it at all. But yeah, so he texts the guy to Skinner, and Skinner basically checks his ID and says, "Let him go, Mulder." What is that? And then I'm pretty sure you thought about it. Diplomatic immunity. Lethal Weapon 2. You can never, ever use the whole diplomatic immunity thing without thinking of Lethal Weapon 2. I'm sorry, you can't. It's just, them's the facts. Somebody mentions that they're a diplomat and you got to let them go. I hear Danny Glover shouting.
What can you get away with diplomatic immunity?
I know. Seemingly anything. Seemingly anything. It's like, surely if you're caught in the act of abducting someone, of opening fire on an FBI agent, surely that diplomatic immunity goes out the window. Like, I understand if you're only a suspect, but you've not been caught doing anything, then maybe it's on shaky ground and you got to let them go. But like, there's multiple crimes that these guys have just committed here, that two FBI agents have both witnessed, and you're pulling the diplomatic immunity card. I'm not sure it washes, to be honest. So they let the man go, and Skinner tells Mulder to go and find everything that he can on this guy. He may be a diplomat. They may have to let him go, but he wants to know as much as possible about him. Then he runs off. Skinner just doesn't run into the night. Swiftly does it. So Scully speaks with the doctor who examined Skinner and asks to see Skinner's blood samples. And at this point, I'm still thinking this doctor's dodgy. There's no way this doctor's kosher. So Mulder finds a picture of Argel cozied up to Senator Matheson. And this is the point where I look at Graham and say, you've got no clue who this guy is, have you?
No idea. I just put it down here, a picture of some guy.
Right, okay. So, I will give you the benefit of the doubt on this one, because I think we've only seen Senator Matheson once before, possibly twice. I only remember the once. But he has been referenced multiple times since then. We've had phone calls where Mulder has got information from him, and he said, "Thanks, Senator." And we were supposed to, clue into the fact, that's Senator Matheson from the episode, the season 2 episode, the opening episode of season 2, Little Green Men. So this is the guy who put Mulder on to the broadcast in Little Green Men. When he went over to that, I can't remember, was it Guatemala or somewhere like that, where to that big satellite. So he was the senator that put Mulder onto the trail of that case. Now, bizarrely, as I say, I don't think we've seen him on screen since then. If we have, it's only been once. Possibly once, I don't know. But there has been reference made to him. Now, this is definitely a detail where if you're a casual fan, you ain't got no clue who this guy is. Just some random senator that comes up. And it's perhaps my biggest gripe with this episode is that, all right, they've used a character that has been in before and has helped Mulder, but not enough to warrant the interplay we get between them later on. Because we get interplay between Mulder and Senator Matheson later on that clearly these guys know each other. Clearly they have a deep history with each other. But it doesn't land because you're too busy. I know who he is because I'm such a fan that I've seen the show so many times that I know, this is the dude from Little Green Men. But that was 3 seasons ago. And this was back in a time when it was episodic television. It was on TV. And most people just, they'd watch it once a week on TV, and that was it. So you're bringing back a character that was in one episode, 3 seasons ago, and we're building him up as being far more important than what he actually is. Like, this isn't Marita Covarrubias. This isn't X or Deep Throat. He's had multiple. And I know you still have trouble remembering who Marita Covarrubias is, but she's been in multiple episodes, and you still don't even know who the hell she is. This guy's had one.
Blonde lady. Blonde lady.
Blonde lady, that's right. But it's
she
just.
In her.
Yeah, yeah, and she's not done with yet. She's
okay.
Yeah, she will be coming back. But yeah, so that's my biggest issue with this episode. Really, is the part that Senator Matheson is going to play in this episode, and more to the point, the acceptance that the episode is asking from the audience with regards to how big he is, how big his role is in Mulder's life, in Mulder's past, as if we're all supposed to go, oh, it's that guy. It's like, I don't think anybody back when this episode aired was sitting there going, oh, it's that guy, except those who, like me, had the show on VHS back then and had watched it multiple times up to that point. So,
in all fairness, see when Mulder goes to his house, just as he walks in, I was like, oh, that's the senator guy. But I couldn't place the episode exactly he was in, and I wasn't sure if he'd been in multiple or not, because obviously my memory's terrible. But for the brief moment, I was like, oh, that's the senator guy. So
right.
It was, then, and that's unusual for me.
Yeah. But I mean, it could be the actor, because he is one of them actors that I know his face. I've seen him in things, and it's like, I don't know his name, but I know his face when he pops up and stuff. But so there was something in you that was saying, okay, I know this guy's been in the show, but that's all I got.
I knew he was a senator as soon as he walked into his house, just before Mulder said it. I knew he was a senator for something or other, but again, I couldn't remember his part in previous episodes. But it was something firing in the back of my head.
Okay, so. But yeah, anyway, Mulder finds the picture of the senator with his arms around Orgel. So Scully finds pure carbon in Skinner's blood. Then something else entirely, multiplying at a excessive rate, which shocks both her and the
Dr. Plant.
The doctor, Dr. Plant. Oh man, you should have called him Dr. Herring. Dr. Red Herring. Mulder goes to the senator's house. He's done a bit of background work, obviously, before then, because he approaches him with the S.R.819. He asks him what it is. It's apparently a Senate resolution, which is a funding bill. So it's a bill that they're trying to pass through the Senate and it's the senator makes out that it's so that we can get medical supplies and things like that into countries, like because you've got to pass a bill that that allows the law to say yes, these items can go from our border to their border. So that's essentially what it is. But so the senator gets all bent out of shape at the suggestion that he might know who took our gal. Mulder goes in kind of quite accusatory and stuff, but Skinner is tailing the diplomat. Another thing about this episode is quite a few parking garages. There's a lot of stuff that takes place in parking garages. So he tails him to a parking garage where there's a shootout. And just as this diplomat gets the upper hand and is about to shoot Skinner, he is run over by someone who, it seems purposeful. This guy is clearly, protecting Skinner. He's mowed this guy down and then just drives off while Skinner collapses.
Again. He collapses again. Like Skinner's falling down a hell of a lot in this episode, doesn't he? Really? Like,
there's a slight look
where will he wake up next? Like,
so Scully and the doctor realise that whatever is in Skinner's blood is building walls that will cause a heart attack. So it's building little walls inside his arteries.
Yeah, I love the idea of that.
It's gonna, it's quite horrible.
Yeah, but it's just it's taken. It could have been some like fangled explanation of all these crazy big words, and you're just like, oh, for God's sake. But it's just like, they break it right down. Building walls, it's going to cause a heart attack. Great.
Yeah.
It's better than
awesome.
He's gonna die.
Yeah. I just suddenly had a flashback to the episode of Friends with Jean-Claude Van Damme in when Joey can't quite get that death scene right. He's like, this man's gonna die. This man's gonna die. And then in the end, it's go, this man is dead. It's like, can't you see? This man is dead. It's just completely random throwaway that has got nothing to do with anything, but I thought I'd just chuck that out there. A nurse comes in to tell them that Skinner has been taken to a hospital. This woman's really on the ball. That's all I can say.
Yeah, does she not come in and she's like, hey, are you looking at the blood work for Walter Skinner? Because there's a Walter Skinner on his way in. You're like,
yeah. But not even to their hospital. He's on his way to some other hospital. So it's like, how on the ball is this nurse? If every nurse was as on the ball as this woman, our hospitals would not have a problem at all.
No.
They would be the most efficient kind of, but she's good at her job. That's all I can say.
Well,
she deserves some kind of pay rise. So they're about to amputate.
And I literally thought I had missed something here, Brian. I was like, what has happened?
No explanation. It's just, oh man, we're going to amputate. It's just like, it just feels like,
I was like, I've missed something. I've lost a thread. What's happened? I don't know. No.
What's that film where that guy keeps waking up in a bed, and every time he wakes up in a bed, another one of his limbs has just gone?
Scream and scream again.
Scream and scream again. I was just like, whoa. Hang on there, Skippy. Slow down. It's just like, why are you amputating exactly? It's just no explanation. They're just like straight to amputation. Oh man, classic stuff.
I really was confused. Like, I had no idea what the hell was going on. And not only that, like, then the doctor is really upset she's not getting to take his arms. Like,
it just feels like they needed to make this. They needed to make a drastic situation so that when Scully and the Doc come in, they can be all like, "No, you don't know what's going on. We know what's going on." You know, let's get a bit of drama out of the situation rather than just having Scully rock up and then Skinner rocking up and then Scully coming in and going, "Okay, guys, look, this is our patient. This is what we need to do with him," and it being a bit calmer. No, we've got to have some tension. We've got to have some drama. So we're going to start with amputation.
Yeah. Oh my God. Why both arms? Why not a leg? Just
oh, classic.
you get this nurse
up
who
there
knows everything that's going on, and then you've got Dr. Butcher MD here who's just like, you know what, take the arms. Let's start with the arms. We'll move to the legs next if we need to.
Oh man, this is up there with sketches of the Jersey Devil. Oh, great stuff. I love it. Oh man. Okay, so as I say, they're about to amputate, and Scully comes in and basically just, tells them, "No, it's the wrong way to go," obviously.
Yeah.
And she says it's blood related. Stop what you're doing. We need to do something else. And they're all like, "Who is this woman? Who does she think she is?" It's like,
who's this crazy person that doesn't want to lock this guy's arms off?
If this was in an episode where the situation had been set up well, had been really well written, and that this would be one of them moments where you appreciate Scully's boldness, you appreciate Scully's strength and her drive, and her power and her ability to go into a room and own it. Whereas here, it just comes off as like, dare I say, forced. A term I don't like using, but forced, because it feels like they've forced it to happen when it didn't need to. This isn't a situation from a writing standpoint that needed to happen. They've just forced it in there to create a bit of drama. So but Skinner gets taken away on a gurney, and Scully tells him that they're going to take real good care of him. And I wrote down here, unnecessary scene, because it's an unnecessary scene. It's just, I felt like this was filler. I felt like we just don't need the scene. You take it out, you don't miss anything, literally. We have Scully talking really softly to Skinner and being all like motherly and whatnot. And we don't need it, because we actually get some pretty good conversations between them a little later on. That shows their affection between each other. This scene is literally just filler. Doesn't need to be there. Skinner's secretary arrives to find Mulder ransacking his office, looking for anything linked to S.R.819. He goes to find a letter opener from the secretary's desk so that he can use it to wedge Skinner's desk open. And it's on the secretary's desk that he finds a letter to Skinner, which bizarrely makes sense.
I love this. He has ransacked an office for a letter that's sitting on a desk in open plain sight.
Yeah. I think, but it's kind of like the most sensible place as to where it would be, though, surely, because if the letter is going to arrive anywhere, it's got to go through the secretary first. And surely she's going to deal with most of the admin side of things. So, yeah, it cracks me up. But Mulder brings the letter to Scully. It says S.R.819.
This is exposition dump.
Yes.
This is where we are, everybody. Catch up in the story so we all know. Yeah.
Absolutely. S.R.819 was waiting on Skinner to sign off on it and for Orgel to do a review. The bill was designed to allow the passage of new technologies into other countries. So, it's like, is Skinner blocking it? Is Orgel blocking it? If they are blocking it, the people don't want it to be blocked, so they're taking them out of the equation, kind of thing. A nurse brings out Skinner's phone, which is ringing, and passes it to Mulder. We hear once again the simulated voice, and Mulder steps out into the hallway to see if he can see if whoever's doing it is close, I guess. He sees a long-haired man on a device, and the man does a runner. Mulder pursues him into a parking lot, but the man escapes because he's a cripple. Mulder couldn't catch the cripple. Question: how long did it take you to figure out this guy was Krychek?
There's a sequence just at the end of this episode where I realised it was Krychek. When Skinner calls him Krychek and he leans forward.
Is that the Oh man, seriously, it took you that long?
Yeah, I had no idea.
Okay, I knew straight away, even in this scene, like,
no.
and I'm not just saying it like now, watching it all these years later after having already seen it many times. I remember specifically way back when I saw this for the first time, I'm like, that's Krychek. That's Krychek.
No, I didn't. I actually thought that was Kaiser Soze to start
right.
with.
Now,
you know how in the flashbacks of like usual suspects, you always like you never see his face and it's the long hair and Kaiser Soze.
It's just it made me think, because I wanted to ask you that question because it made me think about something, which is like I often tell people that I saw the twist coming a mile off in The Prestige with Christian Bale. You know, with his, like, sorry to anyone who's not seen The Prestige. Well, if you don't want to know, turn away now. Zoom on a minute. But so the twist with his character, where it turns out that it's actually twin brothers, and they're, you know, and they swap over and stuff. I saw it straight away because Borden, who's supposed to be like the right-hand man of the Christian Bale character, and they do a lot to kind of hide the fact that it is Christian Bale. You know, they put a moustache on him, and they try to never show you him up too close and anything. But literally, as soon as I saw that film, I'm like, that's Christian Bale. How come he's playing two roles? What's going on? This is weird. No. And then it turned out, oh no, that's a twist. Okay. Well, I saw that coming a mile off. Now I really love The Prestige as it happens, so it didn't put me off in that regard. But a lot of people, when I say that, a lot of people call me out on it and say I'm talking crap, and like they don't believe that I saw that coming. And I wonder if it's you know how like people have certain skills or whatever, or certain observational skills. I wonder if like body patterns is one of mine, because
right.
Like I took one look at this guy with the long hair and that, and the way he moved, and I was like, that's Krychek.
No, I had no idea at all.
I just think like the way people move sometimes, and the frame, it's almost like a fingerprint. And like these kind of twists, I always seem to see them coming a mile off. Whenever they have a character that we've seen before, but they're trying to hide the fact that it's that character, I always seem to recognize it, and I always seem to see it coming. And I don't know if it's just because I have that ability to be able to look at a body and say, yeah, I recognize the way that moves or whatever. But it's just, I don't know. It intrigued me. I was curious to know if when you cottoned on to the fact that was Krychek.
No.
But okay.
Didn't at all.
Okay. Oh, just me then. The man that we don't currently yet know is Krychek, calls Senator Matheson to tell him that the bill is in danger. Matheson says that, you know, his threats are hollow. He won't give in to threats. But the man says that Orgel doesn't quite feel the same way, that he will give in to threats. So Matheson wants to know what he's done with him, because the implication there is that he's got Orgel. So Matheson's like, what have you done? Where is he? What have you done with him? So forensics pull wig hair out of the car that had crashed, that the man had crashed when Mulder was pursuing him. They pulled wig hair out of the car, and along with traces of a chemical that is found only at certain chemical plants from around the 1970s. Which is cool. It's kind of information Batman would be given. So it'd help him narrow down, how many chemical plants are in the area that would follow that kind of... Okay. Just a really easy way to give your character some detective work to do, but some that kind of, clues you into as to why he turns up at the plant a little later on. So the senator finds Orgel at the factory. Orgel says he told the FBI nothing, and that's when the long-haired man turns up his device and kills Orgel. Scully tells Skinner that she wants to do a radical blood transfusion. It's basically where they drain all his blood and then... Okay. Skinner basically says that his life is in her hands, and then he gives a really big, heartfelt apology where he's kind of lay there, he's thinking he's going to die, and he's like... He's having regrets about how he's treated Mulder and Scully, and that he always played it safe. He was always the company man. And Scully's all like, you have no idea how many times you've come to our aid and saved us. And he's like, but no, I could have done more. I should have done more. We're sitting there nodding our heads going, yes, you should. Yeah. So Scully touches his hand.
I'm sitting there going, like, this is his deathbed confession, and this is the thing that he has to confess. Like... It's so weird.
It's just like, it's as if Mulder and Scully are his only agents that he's ever had to manage. It's like, every day, all he thinks about is what's Mulder and Scully getting up to. So Scully touches his hand, and he starts having flashbacks to the man with the beard, and he's like, "Oh, there was another guy." When Orgel touched my hand, there was another guy there, and he's been everywhere. He'll be on the surveillance tapes. So apparently Mulder and Scully have the same problem you do, which is even though they're looking at a direct picture of Krychek, who's just got a wig on and a beard, they're like, you have any idea who this man is? It's like, dude, you should have a clue who this man is. So he's fooling no one. Except Graham, apparently. Mulder arrives. I mean, that comes a bit later, to be honest. First up, Mulder arrives at the factory, confronts Senator Matheson after he tells him that Orgel is dead. He confirms that the technology that S.R.819 wants to move between borders is nanotech. But Mulder really strong arms Matheson, kind of grabs him by the scruff, throws him up against the wall.
There's a little moment I like here, and it's so inconsequential. I'll just quickly touch on it. It's like he lets go of Matheson, and he moves behind the table to get like a barrier between him and Mulder before continuing the conversation. It's just a nice little
right.
Because he doesn't know Mulder, so he doesn't realise there's nothing to be afraid of. But it's nice.
It's quite amusing. That's good blocking, as they say. But, so Skinner dies, but bearded man. Let him go. Well, bearded man brings him back to life using his little device. So we clearly see that whoever this guy is, who could it be, literally has the power of life and death over Skinner. So we go to Skinner's office, and Scully says the virus has miraculously gone dormant. Mulder wants authorization to investigate the bearded man further, but Skinner says no. Much to Scully's confusion.
I love this.
The look on Scully's face is priceless. It's like, I've just had a heartfelt deathbed apology from you, you son of a bitch. And now you're going back on your word, back to your old behaviour. What the hell?
Yeah. It's pretty much the equivalent to, like, you know, like, Lord, if you save me now, I'll never smoke or drink again.
Yeah.
1 week later, we're like,
yeah. Well, Skinner goes to his car to find Krychek waiting for him. Yeah, it's like, what's this about, Krychek? And Krychek, just, you know, typical man, a few words, all in good time, and then just gets out of the car and wanders off. But basically what it shows us, what it leaves us with, is the fact that Skinner is now in the thrall of Krychek.
He's a puppet. He is a puppet.
He's a puppet.
Yeah.
Krychek's
okay,
puppet.
I'll go with this one quickly. I thought this episode was really good to get back to a more serious tone. It's not the best mythology episode ever, but it was really good to get back into that world, to feel as if there is a larger story going on here. And I think it's something that we've deeply missed. And to bring back Krychek was fantastic. To have Skinner involved again, we've been missing him. I think we needed that back. It is very tropey and very coincidental, and things just happen for the sake of happening, which I think takes away the natural evolution of the story a little bit. Although I do love all the nods to various movies and how on the nose they are, whether intentional or not, from the boxing guy at the start to the doctors talking to even like the Luca Kaiser Soze Krychek type thing. I don't know if I'm over scoring this one, because it feels like an oasis in the desert almost, but I'm going to give it like a 4 out of 5, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I'm I was leaning to a 4 when I first watched it. Talking about it, I'm thinking a 3.5.
Okay.
I just as far as mythology episodes go, there's too many things in here that it's overly dramatic at times. I feel like the writers are trying too hard to make certain scenes like more dramatic than they need to be. I feel like certain characters make weird ass choices. I think the inclusion
in my head, I've just got, get up your bum.
Get up your bum. Yeah, that was literally my next line was going to be, we've got rejects from Rocky in there. It all feels like a bit of a melting pot that sometimes gets a little bit weird. But it is nice to be back in the world of mythology and whatnot.
In the world of the X-Files.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like no comedy in sight. Well, no intentional comedy.
Yeah.
It's almost like they just couldn't help themselves by this point.
Yeah. And I do feel like, you know, we're 9 episodes into this season, and finally, like, I'd say this is, it's long overdue. It should have came sooner.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about episode 10, Tithonus.
Tithonus, however you pronounce it. I remember this being a really good episode.
Okay. A comedy?
No, it's not a comedy one. It's a serious one. It does get quite dark actually in places, but
good.
It's got, I can't remember the name of the actor, but he did a lot of films with Clint Eastwood back in the 80s. Kind of balding guy. He was in the those ape the ones he does with the apes, where he's with Clive. Any which way but loose, and any which way you can.
God, it's on the tip of my tongue. That's going to annoy me.
Yeah, but that guy anyway, he's a good actor. I liked him back in like those movies and stuff. But he's like the guest star of the week. And he plays this man. I can't quite remember what his gift is, but he takes photos.
Jeffrey Lewis.
There you go. That's it. So it's guest stars Jeffrey Lewis, and he's a photographer, and he's able to get into the perfect place to take photos of people when they die. And I can't remember. Again, it's been a long time since I've seen it. I can't remember if it's because he has premonitions of the death, or whether it's some. Yeah, I can't quite remember what it is, but I just remember it being a really good episode, really well written, really well performed. So yeah, let's see if my memory holds up, or whether I need to go and see a doctor. But...
Fingers crossed. As always, thank you for listening or watching on whatever podcast service or YouTube you watch us on. We appreciate a review or a like. It really helps people discover our channel. And we will see you next week for Titanus.
Titanus?